What's up, guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel, Snacks in the Wild. I am Jen Zollers. I'll reintroduce myself for you guys because I know it's been a really long time since I posted an episode. A lot's been happening since the last episode. We are still in the midst of prep and we are beyond the halfway point. So we are currently 6.5 weeks out from Legion Sports Fest in Reno, and we are 8.5 weeks out from the Olympia. So we're still on track and we're still ahead by 3 weeks, which blows my mind considering how much has been going on lately. The last 2 weeks, I first of all was regular sick, and then my parents got COVID, and then I got COVID, and then my grandmother passed away. So it's been a very eventful 2 weeks that's been going on. Luckily, I stayed on track with the plan. I might have had a couple extra rest days that my coach gave me just because of being sick and couldn't really do anything. Whenever I'm stressed out, I like to eat. So being super stressed, that was very hard for me to stay on plan. That was probably the hardest challenge I've ever had, to stay on plan, but I did it. And it paid off because we're still ahead, which seriously blows my mind. But now I'm very thankful that my coach started me so early in this prep, because it accounted for the last couple weeks that things were very rocky. And that's something I really want to thank him also. He's been super kind over the last 2 weeks. He's given me my space when I needed to, just to recover and just to refocus and get recentered. I'm the type of person that when I'm stressed out or I have something going on, I withdraw from everything and I literally just dive into prep if I can. I don't know if you've heard the phrase, turn your pain into purpose. And ever since I was little, since I could remember doing every little sport, if I was upset about something, all I wanted to do, even when I was little, was I just wanted to go shoot hoops outside. That cleared my mind. When I was going through my first divorce, I was like, what do? I dove into CrossFit and I developed a backbone and a sense of self-worth. And luckily I'm married to an awesome husband right now who's super supportive during this whole thing. And this has been a prep where there's a lot of highs and a lot of lows, and he's handled it with grace too to help me through it. But this type of stress was a little bit different. I think I've gone through every little bump you can think of in a prep, and I've never quit. And this one was definitely new for me. I've handled COVID before in a prep, but when it's one thing after another, when things just keep happening, it's a lot. It was definitely a lot over the last 2 weeks, and I withdrew. That's my trauma response to things, is I just withdraw and I just want to be left alone for a while. And I want to apologize to all my friends and family who not only have to deal with me like locking in for prep, but add on grief and illness on top of it. It just made me completely isolate myself, and I would rather do it that way than lash out at anyone. If I were to say the wrong thing, I like to process things and try to rationalize what's going on in my head before I actually verbalize it. So I'm very conscientious about how I approach conversations, and if I'm not in the right mindset, I remove myself from those conversations and those situations. But this is something that I want to speak to a lot of people. Specifically, this episode is about adversity and how to overcome it. I've been through so much in every little prep, and this was something that kind of hit me pretty hard. It's tough. Sorry. It's hard to verbalize, and it took me a really long time to think about how I wanted to say this. I look at this YouTube channel as like writing a book, and I like to be very thoughtful about what I want to say. So if I'm stuck and I feel like it's not appropriate to say, then I won't do it. Kind of like writing a book. If you're not sure about what you want to write, you don't write anything. So this is like my journal for you guys, so you can get a little in-depth look at what's going on in prep. But it's been a lot, and I wanted to process everything before I jumped on here. Any kind of adversity you can think of, I've pretty much been through it, and I've never quit. no matter what's happened in my life, I've never quit anything. Never. You can ask my parents, you can ask my siblings, you can ask my husband. I never quit anything, no matter how hard the road may get. And that is something that I take from my grandmother that just passed away. She was such a tough lady. She was very tough. Anytime I was upset or hurt or anything growing up, it was, Jennifer, be strong. Jennifer, be tough. So that's something I'll always remember. I mean, she was a child of the Great Depression. She went through World War II. She went through the Korean War. Everything you could think of. Like, that's part of the Great Generation. They've had it a heck of a lot worse than me and our generation. I mean, I'm in my 30s, and I don't think my generation will ever go through what that generation did. So for her to handle it with so much grace and toughness in her soul, who am I to quit if, yes, I have a death in the family, I have an illness, I have an injury in prep. They've been through a lot worse than me, and they've never quit. So if I quit a prep now just because I had a rough patch, then I would be very disappointed in myself. And I have a 10-year-old daughter who really looks up to me. And what message would I send that to my daughter if just because things were tough and I hit a breaking point, I just said, forget it, I'm done. That would be such a negative image I would send to my daughter if things ever got tough for her. I am a little bit tough on her, and my parents even say I'm super tough on her, but I'm like, hey, you guys were tough on me. But I just think of it's preparing her for even worse times that might come. She might have a serious injury or an illness, whatever happens in her life. These tough moments will prepare her for the next one. And I've always looked at God's way of his plan for me is always perfect. No matter how tough it is and how difficult it is, how painful it is, everything has a purpose. Everything has a reason. And part of me thinks that because these things happened in the last couple weeks, I was so gung-ho and balls to the wall with this prep from the very get-go, and I think I was so far ahead. I think that was God's way of slowing me down, to say, like, you need to take a chill pill and you need to just relax a little bit. But it almost breaks my heart a little bit when I see people quit preps just because life is chaotic or something happens. I get it though. I'm a firm believer in life has to be in order for you to do a prep, to do bodybuilding, but you have to really reevaluate what's important to you. For me, bodybuilding, that is my career. So I have to make it work no matter how hard it is. I'm a professional athlete, so I gotta think like a professional. It's, at Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan, it's like, I'm sure they've gone through so much just to get to the NBA finals. That is their job, and they have to make it work in order to win. And as tough as I am, I have moments where I break down, but this is my dream. Not only is this my job, but to do well at the Olympia and to potentially win the Olympia, to win Legion right before the Olympia so I can qualify for next year. These are all huge goals that I'm gonna go as hard as I can. Even if I go through some rough patches and some bumps in the road, I mean, that's life, right? A couple of my family members and I were just sitting around in a circle just talking about like how dynamic life is, and they said, talking about my grandmother, and they said, dying is the easy part. Living, that's the hard part, my brother-in-law said. And I was like, you're right. I mean, you work every day to survive. You work every day to reach your maximum potential, just to get day to day, getting groceries, getting everything, getting your kids together, getting them to their sports, making sure that their lives are fulfilled, to make sure that everybody's happy. But even though life is the hard part, that's the most fun part, because you just don't know how it's going to turn out. And God gives you all the tools. He gives you your deck of cards, and he leaves it up to you to figure out how you want to play your hand. So I'm definitely far beyond what I originally thought that I would be in my 30s. In my 20s, I would have never thought that I'd be at the point that I am at right now. But I'm not done yet. And I wanted to post this video to show you guys, like, yeah, though I've been through some rough times over the last couple weeks, and I get very quiet when I try to refocus. Prep and family and work is my biggest priority. So social media and social gatherings take a backseat to what's currently important. And yeah, it might be a little quiet. Occasionally I just put my head down and grind, but that's just something that I have to do. When my grandfather passed away 10 years ago, my grandmother's husband, I wasn't given an opportunity to grieve then. I had to just pull it together and just keep moving forward. I was in a very difficult situation with my ex-husband, so I didn't have a chance to grieve or just feel anything. I was faced with survival too with my daughter. Right after my grandfather passed away, I left my ex-husband because it was an abusive situation. So when you're faced with survival, you don't have a moment to just feel all the feelings. You just have to survive and you just have to get things done. So in this moment, I can finally step away for a second. And when my grandmother passed away, I could finally just sit and just be and just reflect and actually be able to grieve for once. And I did feel all the things. And yesterday, which was Monday, not sure when I'm gonna post this. It might be Wednesday, it might be tonight, who knows. But during the funeral, I shut off my phone. I stayed off of social media. I just stayed quiet and just stayed in the moment with my family, just listen to everybody tell their story of my grandmother, which I call Neen. So if you ever hear me say Neen, that's who I'm talking about. But it was kind of nice to just like disconnect from everything and just be. I've been on the go so much over the last couple years, and it was just kind of nice to just be, and it just made me realize like, okay, this might help my future preps. This might help the rest of my prep. Whenever I feel like I just need to shut it down and just focus on the work, then I'll just shut it down. I'll just shut down the texts. I'll just shut down social media and just grind and just work, because my dreams and my goals are super important. And you know, if that's what I have to do to get the job done, I'm gonna do it. And I made a promise at the beginning of this prep that I won't waste an opportunity, and bet your ass I'm gonna finish this hard. So stay tuned to more episodes coming up in Snacks in the Wild. But I just want to let you guys know, if you're ever struggling through anything, just give yourself some grace and just please reconsider before you quit anything. It breaks my heart when I see people quit just because things get hard. And knowing I've been through so much and I've never quit, I hope I can be an inspiration to some of you guys to think like, well, Jen didn't quit through any of that, so maybe I shouldn't either. So stop and think a minute before you pull the trigger and want to quit something just because it's hard. Life's hard. You're gonna have harder moments in life. You're never gonna get a second opportunity. So I don't take anything for granted. You only get one shot. So this is my shot and I'm gonna take it. So here's signing off until the next episode. See you guys.